All right, welcome guys to episode 21 of Prepared, your weekly, or this time I guess bi-weekly TBC podcast because we skipped a week, but we're back.
Is bi-weekly twice a week?
Oh wait, no, that's
or is
twice
it
a
once
week.
every 2 weeks?
Okay, I'm getting Zirene on here twice a week. Yeah, fortnightly?
I think it's both.
Fortnightly?
Yeah, see that I like that difference. I like bi-weekly is twice a week and fortnight every 2 weeks. So
yeah, okay, fortnightly.
there was always this argument back when it was like it's our bi-weekly meeting. It's like, oh, is it really like it's we have this once every 2 weeks? Is that really bi-weekly? And, I don't know, but yep, I like that.
But yeah, we're back. We're back again. Zirene is better now, I think. So we skipped last week because
not completely, but I am.
Yeah, Zirene had a ear infection last week, so
Yeah.
we're back though. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a bunch of Blizzard stuff, but I feel we're not gonna go on like a super. Don't worry, guys. We're not gonna go for another 2 hours ranting about Blizzard. Hopefully, but we do want to cover obviously the things that have happened over the last week or two, as far as all the Blizzard stuff. But we do have some game stuff this week as well. So there's some interesting PvP changes. SSC, TK testing are coming in. There's a lot of game stuff coming in. So we got a lot of game stuff to talk about today as well, which will be really nice.
Good. Yeah, finally some fucking content.
Yeah. But yeah, how's your ear, man?
It was really, really painful and like actually debilitating. And like I was like, my face, like on the left side of my face, like it was swollen here on like my jaw where it like meets I guess the rest of my skull, and that was swollen. So like opening my mouth past a certain point was like it was stiff and it hurt, and it would feel like it caught, like kind of like a slip, and you would like a jarring pain, and it felt like a stabbing pain on my eardrum. And then of course there's like, some random oozing or whatever, and you're just like, okay, there's probably like some infection of some kind. So yeah, and then also like even right now, like if I put my finger right here, I think it's like my lymph node's still swollen on that side. But yeah, anyway.
That sucks.
So yeah,
did it do anything for your balance or like?
No, it's weird because I don't get. Everybody asks that. Like when I get ear infection, people ask like if I'm like my balance is messed up, and I'm like, no, probably because I don't walk around a lot anyway. So it's good. Yeah, my balance is great. I just sit in this chair all day, and I never have any issues.
I didn't fall off my chair once today.
Yeah, right. Maybe I didn't notice that I had balance issues, but it was real rough, man. It was really bad. But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because I have had one before. I have had an ear infection before, but it completely messed up my that's why I asked. It completely messed up my sense of what was up and down, it seems.
Really?
Because it was basically like I had car sickness the entire time because my body couldn't balance itself. Like I had to lie down in a specific situation in a specific stance, and as soon as I got up, it felt like suddenly I got really bad car sickness. So I had to literally like stay in one position, and as long as I was in that one position, I was totally okay. It was really weird.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I was. I was like, as long as I stay in bed, like on my side, like nothing will hurt me. So yeah, it's just really bad. It's almost completely better, but it's still sort of an issue. But I just have to make sure that I don't get water in it or anything like that when I shower. So yeah, Otherwise okay. But yeah, I had no idea that ear infections could be that painful.
Oh yeah, it was really bad. Maybe it was because when I got one out, it was really young. But the people at the local doctor saw I was in so much pain, they let me go ahead of them. They're like, "Oh, this kid's dying. This kid's dying. Let him ahead of us."
Oh man, I mean, if they let you go ahead of them in the doctor's office, that's not something that happens here. That's not something that happens here in LA. People are just like, my turn. I've been waiting 3 hours. Every single
I'm missing an arm over here.
Yeah. Nope. My cough's really important.
Well, yeah, man.
How have you been?
Yeah, it's been okay. I've been doing a lot of PvP actually. It's been super fun. I've been getting Chan to coach me. It's been really, really helpful actually, having someone like him on his level coach. Because he instantly points out everything I'm doing wrong, like not binding feint. Do you have feint bound on your rogue, by the way?
No.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. He was like, still, how can you not have feint bound? And I'm like, I've never used feint in PvE ever. but apparently rogues in PvP use it all the time to knock off intervene. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. But it's been super helpful. It's been super helpful getting someone at his level coaching you, telling you what you're doing wrong. But what I found is like, man, those guys, it's like the communication is huge as well. Like the ability to play the game while talking through everything they're doing and being like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to stay on even in the same ballpark, and I can't even like communicate what I'm doing because I'm so busy.
To knock off intervene, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, because otherwise you can just like right click and auto attack, but it's like a bit messy. And especially if they're sitting in a sap, for example, and the warrior intervenes, you don't want to knock off the sap before you blind them or something like that.
Yeah, so you need like a stop attack macro for feint?
Well, I don't think feint triggers
Feint
auto
doesn't
attack.
start?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to trigger auto attack. At least I don't think so. I need to test that more. But yeah, that's why I got feint bound now to a key that I've never pressed before. So that's gonna be interesting.
Interesting.
But yeah, so we got a bunch of Blizzard stuff to talk about. We'll go over it quickly, but I did have a look at the Blizzard stock prices. Jeez, we said before that their stock wasn't being hurt by all this stuff, but it's definitely being hurt by it now. Definitely being hurt by it now. So their stock's down to 80. It's down 15% almost in the last month, which is interesting because usually things like this don't have big impacts on the stock, or rather it goes down and it goes back up almost instantly from news like this, but it's gone down. Yeah, and it seems to be staying down. We don't know like long term whether it's going to keep impacting them, but if nothing else, this has actually hurt your bottom line if the stock doesn't recover.
Yeah. Let's see. It's basically where it was last year around this time, but it's dipped a little bit more. But this is like quarterly earnings came up, and it wasn't like super impressive out by any means, especially since they didn't really have any like significant. I guess they had like TBC, so like significant releases. But yeah, it did definitely plummet in the last month. But I think this is before, or it started downward trending before any of the like allegations or anything like that came out.
Yeah, this was 26. The biggest drop was on 26 to 27.
26 to 7th. So yeah, that's where I think where it was, it was already trending downward a little bit, but yeah, it was maybe pushed down a little bit more by that. But that's like like you said, 15% drop. Not something that's like unrecoverable, but I don't know what they're doing in the next, few months.
Yeah. Did you see the Blizzard CEO step down? Is he CEO actually? Or is he
president?
President?
President.
They go president? Yeah. Replaced him. What do you think? Do you think that would do anything? I'm not sure. I've seen like mixed comments on that. On if anyone thinks that'll actually do anything.
So J. Allen Brack stepping down is it's a way to not save face, but to kind of look like they're doing something, because one of the big things that I think Blizzard has a problem with right now is the whole thing came out, and it sounds to me like they had been investigated, and when the Riot Kotaku stuff happened, they simultaneously started having issues come up and people talk out and speak up, and so they started getting rid of people, right? Like, for example, the fact that Afrasiabi doesn't work there, right? Yeah. Like, they can't fire Afrasiabi in the wake of these things because he's already gone, right? Whereas when something like this happens, the community in some way, shape, or form, whether or not you are found guilty in court, you are found guilty in the court of public opinion already. So when public opinion is at an all-time low, you have to do something that is more than just talking or sending emails. There has to be some form of action, because the community otherwise is like, they're not really doing anything. So having the president step down, actually, I think from like J. Allen Brack, if it's actually his decision to step down, is probably a really good one, and shows that he does care about the company to some degree, because he's like willing to sacrifice for that, because he has to be the one to take the blame, the responsibility as the president who allowed these things to happen under his watch. So I think that I think it's the right thing to do on his part. I think that it allows other people to potentially move up to management positions, allow for some mobility, potentially get some diversity in there if they do want a woman in leadership who's not Fran. fucking Christ. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
So I think it's the right thing. I think it's what should happen. And when something like this happens at the company, and it's really interesting because I don't know how much of this did happen under his watch, because he became the president in 2018, so 3 years ago. And a lot of these things are talking about happening 3 years ago, 2013, right? 2 years ago. So yeah, some of it happened under his watch. A lot of it happened, while he was still definitely at the company. But it's in terms of if it's going to do anything, I think it's going to do more than if he had just stayed, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely something. I think it's what they can do. But I'll tell you, it's already better than what Riot's response was. In terms of if it's going to do anything, I don't think it's going to like magically solve fucking sexual harassment at a company overnight. That's the thing. But I do think it's a good move, because it should set the precedent that this shit isn't like tolerated. And if you are somebody who this is happening under, you need to be aware as well. Basically, put the responsibility on the leaders, because if I'm somebody who is, it's one thing to be somebody who's sexually harassing other employees. It's another thing to be the boss of somebody who's sexually harassing other employees and not doing anything about it. And so if you see that even the president isn't safe, then, if I'm a manager, I need to be more on top of this. If I see anything that's even questionable, I need to pull my employee aside, talk to them, ask them if they feel uncomfortable, right? Put more onus on them and show them that, they aren't really in danger and that they can talk to you. So I think that that's a big thing, where you show that they are not immune, because I think that's a big fucking problem, especially something that was like brought up inside of the whole Blizzard allegation. Was people had talked to HR, they had talked to higher ups, like people in higher positions were participating in these sexual harassment allegations, and nothing was happening. Like, right? You bring your thing to HR, and then HR says we dealt with it, and then the guy's still in his position and all this shit, and you're like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. Or then he gets 2 months unpaid leave, and you're like, wow, that was really great. So yeah, no, I definitely think it's a better move than at least Riot's response. So yeah. I don't think it solves much, but it's a better move.
But speaking of speaking of not good moves, I think you saw this, the Fran Townsend stuff? I saw that, I was like, what the hell?
Sorry, I didn't see anything. Her Twitter is deactivated.
Yeah. Deactivated her Twitter. So for people that don't know, basically what happened is so Fran Townsend was the one who initially sent out the really bad company-wide email calling the lawsuit meritless and just a whole bunch of really bad PR talk that was really kind of embarrassing. But then apparently she tweeted out an article basically saying the problem with whistleblowing.
That was like the stupidest fucking thing you could ever do. I like remember when we were talking about whether or not that one leak was real, and the language I pointed out in it was when a company email goes out that says you need to disengage from social media, and it's a very game company thing because they're very much so in the social media space. I think one of those emails should have gone out. Like, hopeful fucking Lee. Like, honestly, how tone deaf can you fucking be? This is the shit where, like, I used to think being a writer at like The Onion, I was like, dude, The Onion is so funny. They make all this like phony news and like parody news, but it's really, you could just repost what the fucking news is, and it's a parody of itself now. It's like woman in a high position at a company accused of sexual harassment tweets an article about the problem with whistleblowing. It's like a fucking parody. I don't understand. And the fact that she's like used to be under like the Bush administration. Yeah, it writes itself, dude. It fucking writes itself. It is God.
I don't know how she thought like this was a good idea in any shape or form, or I just don't know.
Dude, this is like literally what not to do. This is absolutely like what not to do. Like, and here's the thing. Is you know, like this is just a lesson for everybody out there who might want to get involved in gaming or anything like that. You know how people on their Twitter bio say like my tweets are my own and in no way reflect my employee or my employer or their values?
Yeah.
Even if your tweets do not like reflect the values of your employer, they do reflect on your employer's judgment to employ you. So if you tweet something like this and your employer goes, "What the fuck?" and you go, "Well, these tweets are my own. They have nothing to do with my business." They're like, "Well, you probably shouldn't be tweeting about that." And it shows poor judgment on your part, which then makes us consider what our judgment was in hiring you. This is actually how it works, by the way. So even if you do put a disclaimer of this doesn't reflect my employer's values, that is literally just so the company can distance themselves from you very quickly. But your tweets are still something that reflects on you and their judgment of hiring you. So, or keeping you hired. So just so you know that I've seen this happen before. So yeah, it's just a little sidebar there. So yeah, so it doesn't just reflect poorly on her. It reflects poorly on fucking Blizzard for having her in a position like, I don't know why they have her in the first place. Like, why did this company in Santa Monica in fucking Los Angeles have like this really right wing like woman come in? And I don't know if it's like it was really funny too, because I don't know if like the Blizzard higher ups, you know how they were saying like they have like their fingers in their ear and they're just kind of like not listening to things. Yeah, I could see that happening here where they're like, "What are you talking about? We have a woman in leadership," and she's just like, "No sexual harassment here." Like it's like a fucking plant. It's like, "Oh well, we do have a woman in leadership." And you know, she's never been sexually harassed, and she's like, "Yep, never been sexually harassed ever, man." You know what the problem with whistleblowing is, which is really funny because that also means like that there's potential. This is just a random fucking thing. She could have been sexually harassed, but doesn't want to whistleblow. You know, it's like she's just perpetuating that culture simultaneously. So it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Well,
It's things like this, Snow, that give me a lot of hope in the future that I could actually own a company, because these are the people who are in charge of certain parts of a company. You know, you look at a long resume and it's like, or long like job description for like a management position. It's like 10 plus years in gaming, and you need to have like, you need to be inspiring, and you have all these skills and shit like that. And you're like, damn, I need to like have gone to Harvard and everything. And then you see this bitch, and you're just, I mean, not. not to, you know, you use a gendered term for that, but I don't know what else to call her right there. It's just so tone deaf. It's so tone deaf. So yeah, I think it's incredibly disrespectful to the people who had allegations against them, and also it's like the complete opposite of what other people in the company are trying to do. And it's just one of those points where you just need to read the room a little bit, and if you can't, you need to shut the fuck up. That's and my best advice. If you're one of those people who have those thoughts, just read the room. If people are speaking out against this stuff, let them have their time. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. Just fucking shut the fuck up for now. Good God.
Well, at least she's not on Twitter anymore.
Stupid.
That's for sure.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. See, that's the thing. She disengaged.
Yeah, maybe
by
a week
getting
too late.
rid of her Twitter.
Yeah, one week too late on the disengage.
Like, I'll be fucking real with you though. That's the better move, to just delete your Twitter or deactivate your Twitter than to actually try to respond, because we've seen some responses come out from people, you know, about all the Blizzard stuff, and it just keeps getting worse. Every time you respond to something, like people like this you, and then they like post a picture of you in the Cosby room, and you're just like, oh fuck.
Oh God.
Like, now you got to explain this, and just keep going, right? And then it's like, she was just like, you know what? I done goofed, and then just be a fucking ghost.
Yeah. Speaking of the Cosby room, Jesus Christ, what are these photos, by the way? Like, and
So
like, how do they even have a photo of Bill Cosby like in the photo? Like, what is this?
So I can see it as like a frat thing where it's just like it's a nerd frat thing, I assume. where in 2013, I mean, I didn't even know about like the allegations against Cosby. Everybody's kind of saying like, when I heard Cosby up until like a few years ago, I thought, oh, pudding pops and weird sweaters, like that's all. So I believe pretty much everything that Ghostcrawler had been saying, that I believe that what he's saying is true from his perspective. But I think that the fact, so here's, I think, the big point that I think people are missing is the Cosby room is a big fucking red herring. It is a distraction because, in my opinion, it does not fucking matter what the name of the room is. It just so happened to be the name of somebody who is sexually harassing people. I don't think you name a room where you want to take women the Cosby room because you intend to sexually harass them, right? I don't think people think it's cool to do that. I don't think anybody idolized Bill Cosby and went, dude, this guy like harassed like 20 fucking women, bro. He's a god, man. He's a fucking god. And so, like, I think that it was named after some fucking weird sweater thing. They probably had like a drunk night where they were like, dude, you fucking look at your rug, dude. It's like fucking Bill Cosby. And then they're like, oh, it's the Cosby room. And then that became the Cosby room forever. Like, you're probably high as fuck or something. And then boom. So I think it's a big red herring. The name of the room is irrelevant to me. The fact that people like Afrasiabi sexually harassed other female employees or guests at BlizzCon during a Blizzard convention, right? A company convention, brought them to a room that was a known hangout party spot and groped them, right? And people like Greg, like Ghostcrawler, had invited people to that room, and he may have not known what had happened, but it does like reflect on people's opinion of him that he didn't know what was going on, or he may have seen something and didn't say something because he thought it was okay or whatever, right? And that to me is like the big red herring. I don't care about the fucking room's name. It could have been called the Snow Room for all I care, right?
Whoa,
It's
whoa. Let's not call it Snow Room. let's not go with that.
Like, it doesn't matter what the name of the room is. It just, sure, it's weird. Sure, they like named
Very
it after
unfortunate
a
naming
sweater, right?
coincidence, if so, yeah.
I think Asmongold said something where it was like, it's just like finding somebody who's anti-American and then turns out their favorite band from 2000 was ISIS, right? And it's like, it's just a fucking coincidence. And even if it wasn't a coincidence, it doesn't matter, right? It's just ironic, right? There's some dramatic irony in that shit where you're just like, little did they know the Cosby room was exactly where more women were sexually harassed. It's like, yeah, the fact that women were sexually harassed in this room regularly at a convention by the company, by a high person in the company, like a higher up, that's the problem, not the name of the fucking room. That's the thing that the journalists were going to highlight, is that they're like, why is it the Cosby room? Did they know what was going on here? Why did they name? Did they intend? Did this show intent that they intended to grope titties? It's like, no, I think the alcohol and inviting women and shit like that to the room showed that they had some intent to grope titties after they had done titty groping. So it's like, yeah, name of the room, fucking irrelevant to me. As weird as it is that they have a fucking framed
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Very unfortunate.
As funny as it fucking is, and very unfortunate, it doesn't matter, in my opinion. The shit that happened in there matters. It might show intent, but I think all the alcohol and all the chat messages show more intent. Like, yeah, that's my opinion, right? So I think it's more important to focus on those things.
Yeah.
But it is fucking weird.
It is very weird.
The way the article is set up makes it sound like it's a fucking sexual harassment groping cult. And I highly doubt that is it. I doubt those guys had a shrine of Bill Cosby and were just like, oh, Cosby, let the titty groping be bountiful today. And like, no, they were not doing that. It just probably some fucking weird frat thing where they had a high as fuck joke or something that escalated to being the name of the room and a tradition. But I doubt that groping women became a tradition that the room was intended for. That's basically what I'm getting at here. And the way it's framed is to distract you from that and bait clicks and get you to think it's a cult and dehumanize and like push these people away. When I think it's really important to humanize people who sexually harass others, because when you dehumanize them, you separate them from you and you don't see the problems in their actions and just say like, I would never do that. Right? You'd go like, I would never do that. But it's some things that you do may be very close. Like I said, like telling somebody to suck your dick after beating them in a game while you're on like company property, right? There was a guy, I actually thought about this earlier today. There was a guy at Riot who like, when we were really drunk at like a company party, he like slapped my ass. And then he went, oh, ooh, you nice. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, damn. I was like, damn, Jay. Like it was chill, but if I wasn't chill with it, that was like fucking sexual harassment, right? Like getting slapped in the ass, like playing, what is this fucking like the Key and Peele where it's like, hey, want to play some slap ass? Like the fucking, like the athletes and stuff. Like, yeah, it just, you need to understand the boundaries. And also that one thing you do with, something that you might do to one person is not sexual harassment because it's consensual or they are okay with it. And then the other person, they are not, right? It's just like if I get flowers for this girl who I think likes me, it's not weird, right? And if she likes me, if it turns out she doesn't like me, she's just like, thanks, this is fucking weird. Or if I'm just like, oh, hey, I saw you get off the bus and like, I knew you lived around here. And I just wanted to like give you some flowers. And she'd be like, how do you fucking know where I live? Like, that's fucking weird. That's creepy. Yeah. But if she's like into me, like really into me, she's okay with it. Right. Yeah. So it's like the context and the perception of the other person really fucking matters. So I don't think it's good to dehumanize people and like villainize them and be like, oh, these gross, disgusting sexual harassers. I'm like, these are people as well who are not just completely disassociated from us. They're not like some fucking demons. What they do is bad. That's the thing is I think bad people is like a way to like push people away and separate yourself from it. I think people do bad things, right? People do bad things, right? And I think that we shouldn't like be distracted and think that we aren't capable of doing bad things as well, or do bad things that we aren't completely aware of. Because I don't think that people like Greg or maybe even a Frostyabi to some degree sit there and go, okay, what I'm doing is inappropriate. I hope I get away with it. I think what they do is they sit there and go, they don't think it's inappropriate. And that's the problem, right? If you see your buddy groping some titties and you're just like, you think she's okay with it or whatever, you're just like, you don't think it's inappropriate. That's the problem, is a lot of guys think that, walking around saying suck my dick at the company isn't inappropriate because everybody does it, right? It's that type of thing that I think is a big issue. So now just to end the rant right there, I think it's important to see how these things happen all the time and that people just aren't conscious of them or aware or think they're inappropriate. And that's the thing I think is like the most effective way to change stuff. So yeah, that's a week's worth of buildup.
yeah. We didn't get to talk about this before, but did you see? I assume you saw being in California as well. You saw the Activision walkout and all that stuff. Yeah. Seems they had a pretty good. I saw some streamers even they extended it to not streaming and such as well. Yep.
But it was like a boycott on Blizzard games for the duration of they were.
Day. Yeah.
Some people said it was the day. Some people said it was like during the walkout or whatever.
Yeah. I wasn't sure when they were doing it. I found out about it like just before I was going live, and I was thinking, man, should I not stream today or should I stream? I don't. In the end, I just decided, I'll just stream and we'll just talk about it. I think that's just fine as well.
You fucking sexy piece of shit. No.
How dare you stream? But I did see some streamers getting flack for that, and I was like, guys, it's fine if they want to stream. They can still talk about it and bring attention to the issue. There's other ways beyond just not streaming and such.
I mean, you could stream something else.
Yeah, that's true.
That day.
You could stream like just chatting as well, yeah.
Yeah, you just stream just chatting. That's the argument back.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody said you should have brought the hot tub out.
I should have brought the hot tub back,
yeah. Out of content, hot tub time.
But yeah, so I mean that was our quick Blizzard catch up on the news. I promised people we wouldn't talk too much about it because we did talk a lot in the last
Yeah.
podcast, and people do want to hear game stuff as well beyond just the Blizzard. So yeah, this will be a nice pause in the timestamp for people who don't want to skip. But did you see the WoW is dying by Steve Jobs video, by the way?
No.
Okay, this was actually pretty
Steve Jobs?
good. Oh well, it's like a cut scene. They kind of like I think it was part of a bigger edit by a guy who did this video. But I thought it put into words a lot of what we've kind of talked about in the past and hinted at like the problem with Blizzard right now. It put it into a very, very good context to explain like kind of like what was happening at Blizzard. Let me see.
What is that? Wait. What is that subreddit? 476,000 playing Final Fantasy 14 and 4.2k people farming Karazhan.
Yeah. It's been like that for a while. They changed that a while ago. Yeah.
So I will say there are some subreddits that are run pretty well and have good jokes and stuff like that. And then there's the League of Legends subreddit. Anyway, we can move on.
That's a whole can of worms you got there. Sorry.
Dude. Oh, fucking Christ.
But yeah, okay. Before we get sidetracked again, so yeah, this is the Steve Jobs video. Wait, let me play sound.
When you have a monopoly market share, the company's not any more successful. So the people that can make the company more successful are sales and marketing people. And they end up running the companies. And the product people get driven out of decision-making forums. And the companies forget what it means to make great products. And the product genius that brought them to that monopolistic position gets rotted out by people running these companies who have no conception of a good product versus a bad product. They have no conception of the craftsmanship that's required to take a good idea and turn it into a good product. And they really have no feeling in their hearts, usually, about wanting to really help the customers.
So yeah, so that was, I felt like it was just very well stated, even though like Steve Jobs obviously wasn't thinking of Blizzard when he said these things. But it kind of it kind of describes a lot of the things that we've talked about or hinted at and mentioned in the past, where the problem is like at some point along the line, Blizzard started putting monetization and such above the actual product. And I don't hate the things like the boost and such. Like you and me are both like maybe a few of the people who actually aren't against the boost and aren't against a lot of the monetization things that they do. But that comes with the asterisks that like I feel like I don't mind that stuff, but they still have to take care of the core product. And I feel like what happened at Blizzard somewhere along the lines is they just focus so much on the monetization and all this other stuff that they just forgot that you can do this stuff, but it has to be on top of all the good changes you're doing to the game and what you're building underneath it.
Yeah. I talked about this a little bit on my stream, and I've probably talked about it before, where a subscription-based model is made to make you pay more money than you actually use. It's just like gift cards, where you give somebody $100 gift card and they'll probably use like $80 of it. So you paid $100 for something that's worth $80, and the 20 rots there. So they, even if there's pennies left on a gift card and you hand it over because you're just like, I'm never going to use this, still you paid more, or they earned more money from it. So subscriptions are like, oh, you're supposed to like want to cancel it in the middle of the month and then not use it, or forget about it and keep paying it. The subscription models are now seen as something that are archaic in a sense, and they don't make as much money because as a company grows, you need your player base to grow and the subscription model to continue. The subscription model to continue giving you more and more money. So you either have to raise subscription prices or increase the number of people in your player base to get more money that way. Or you introduce alternative methods to gain revenue. And that's what I think is the big issue is they're doing both simultaneously. You have to buy the game. Like Blizzard's triple dipping, right? They're triple dipping. And they're making you buy the expansion, they're making you pay a subscription, and if you want to have other products on top of it, like cosmetics, you can pay for those. I think right now in gaming, you need to do one of two things, maybe three, and it's your game is free to play, right? And then the cosmetics cost money. And if you're a Chinese game, it's pay to win. And then everybody throws money at it. Right? So it's like if you're a Nexon game, you pay to win. So it's one of those two right there. The other one is you pay for the game and then it's yours forever, just like they do with Call of Duty and shit. And then subscription-based things should be like online play or whatever people pay for monthly, just like internet, so that you can cancel it. But yeah, I feel like Blizzard is triple dipping, and I think it makes them a little desperate because when their game isn't doing well, subscriptions go down, and that was like their only source of making money. And then in order to make more money, you have to release an expansion to grab money, or you have to do things in the cash shop. It's like literally when it comes to a game like League of Legends, which I know I talk about it a lot. They have a free to play game in Valorant and even like League of Legends, right? And cosmetics that don't affect your gameplay are what people pay for, and they make so much fucking money because the team that is in charge of making them money is the team that just goes, oh, we should make skins. But simultaneously, the two things that they aim for are they aim for people to pay for cosmetics, so it incentivizes them to make better and better cosmetics, right? Like they come out with like Dark Star Z, and then the next Z skin they have to make has to be better than that, right?
Yeah.
For people to want to buy it, because they'll just go, I already got Dark Star Z, that's good enough for me. They have to do a different angle or whatever, so they keep having to outdo themselves if they want to keep making money. And the other thing is the gameplay aspect of things that they change is to keep players engaged. So the two things that I think Riot really cares about is player engagement by keeping the game healthy, and then having teams devoted to skins and things like that actually make them money. Now, if you think about different game modes, like when they release Earth, when they release certain types of like special games, they are typically tied to skins, but you don't fucking think about it. The Earth game mode originally came out as the Earthitational so that they could push like the different Earth skins, right? Where it was like, oh, this character is like wearing Earth skin. Oh, wow, this guy has like an Earth crown. He's got a spatula, right? But it's like secondary. They don't push it entirely. They're like, look at it. Everybody's, this game mode is so fun. And in the back of your minds, you're not aware that you're being like inoculated to Earth and stuff like that, or exposed to. And it's the same thing when they release like a Winter Wonderland map. They're like reskin the Baron and stuff. The holiday skins just came out too, by the way. Like they care about two things, the gameplay and the things that make them money. And Blizzard right now only seems to care about not keeping player engaged. They just care about the money. And Vitki TV, exactly. When they are pushing pentakill skins, they release a fucking music album, right?
Yeah. Which, by the way, was awesome.
Yeah.
I was there live, actually. I was at the... I used to be huge into League. I like enough that I went to 3 World Championships. Like, I flew to the countries where the like finals were, and I attended them live. So, like, one of the biggest things that the Riot did when I went to the one in LA, the finals for LA, is that out of nowhere, they just had like that music night. It was the last one they did in LA.
Okay, yeah. The one at Staples Center. I was in LA Live, which is like right outside across the street. Yeah, doing the noob friendly stream when the year they actually decided to do a noob friendly stream. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I went to I was there at the Staples Center one, and they had the music.
We have been within a mile's distance of each other and not known it, Sno.
Yeah. But yeah, they had the music thing there, and that wasn't even like something that they really hyped up or anything. I didn't even know that was happening, and it was just like the day before the finals. And then I went there, and it was just like they brought the live band, and they had like a classical music playing a classical band playing all the game sounds and everything. It was amazing.
That was the night before, right?
Yeah, that was the night before.
Yeah. I was sitting there as well. Yeah. That was really great. That was really good.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was actually amazing. So like it just feels that at some point Blizzard just forgot about doing all this other stuff and they just bundled down on just monetization. And I feel like it's not that they've forgotten about keeping people engaged, it's that they've been keeping people engaged in the wrong ways, or they've forgotten how to do it in a good way. Because this kind of
Yeah.
links into the next topic, where it's like we have all these content creators quitting because they keep doing stupid stuff to keep people engaged.
Here's the thing that I think is the root of the problem is Blizzard is not targeting everyone. They're fucking call them Ishmael because they only going after fucking Moby Dicks, dude. They're going after the whales, right? They're targeting the whales. They are going, okay, we don't care about you, average player. This guy who's going to pay $39.99 for these cosmetics is our target. Whereas like what Riot does is they make something for everybody. They make the Pentakill album, they make the Earth game mode, they reskin like the map, all that stuff. They affect everyone when they release a product, but they don't push the product actively, right? As actively. So when they do something, everybody is exposed to it, so everybody has like feedback for it, not just the whales. And you have more people engaged with your product, right? And it allows you to get a better barometer. Even if you fuck up, it allows you to get a better barometer of like, how much should we be pushing this product? Was this right for our players? Why was this wrong? And Blizzard just doesn't do enough of those things, right? But yeah, I don't feel like Blizzard has connected the dots of making good content and releasing products simultaneously and connecting the two. Because when they release a good product, there really isn't any monetization tied to it or connected to it. But a lot of the times they go, "Oh, we have something cool here. Let's monetize it," right? Where they're like, "Oh, we have something cool here with like people might like they like Night Fae. Let's make a Night Fae thing, the transmog, right?" So that's the problem I think they run into is their monetization seems like an opportunistic grab instead of a planned one where they're just like, this is going to be like part of the release that affects everyone and it's cool. And then this happens to be on the side. It's too invasive, right? It's too invasive.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of how Marvel built up the entire superhero franchise from the ground up with like Iron Man, and then they built the characters slowly, and then they ended with Avengers. It feels like that's what good companies do, and then Blizzard kind of just they try to jump to the end game without doing all the other stuff underneath it.
Blizzard are the Power Rangers.
Yeah, Blizzard are the Power Rangers.
Yeah. Like if you talk about like Marvel Studio being like Riot Games, where they're like, you guys care about this, and you guys care about this guy's story and that guy's story. But what happens if we bring them together? Their interactions with each other, what matters, because you care about the characters already. And then Blizzard's like, morphin' time. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, what's this guy doing here? Like, you don't care about each individual one. You just care about when they come together and fucking morph, right? Yeah.
But yeah, there's been
it's just like you and me. Nobody cares about our individual streams, but when we come together,
well, too real, Zirene, too real. But it's interesting the way Blizzard's gone about the keeping people engaged thing, and I feel that's been a big problem. That's why we've seen like one of the topics we have today is content creators just quitting. But in particular, it's content creators who have been a long time with Blizzard, in particular in the retail space, because it feels like they've just been hit so many times they're just over it. They can't anymore. And the biggest complaint, or from talking to a lot of these guys, it's just that they feel like WoW is now like this unfun job because Blizzard keeps adding these things in for players to do to keep them engaged, like Tower of Torghast and all that stuff in retail, where they don't want to do these things, but they feel obligated to do them because it's connected to the character power, but it's not fun. It's like
character power, progression.
It's just not fun.
It's a trap. They're literally trying. They're trying to make you addicted to their product too obviously. Like what they're doing is they are saying, if you don't have this, you're going to suffer. It's like, if you don't do your Torghast, you're going to suffer. You got to do it every week, instead of being like, okay, yeah, like, if you want to take a break, take a break. And then like when you like take a break from League of Legends, you start going like, fuck, like, where's the fucking, I need some fucking league, bro. Like you're the one who starts talking about needing to play, and they're not saying like, oh, you better play, you're gonna fall behind. You're like, I'm probably gonna get a little rusty, and then you want to play again. So they're not making a good enough product that makes you want to play it. They're making hooks to tell you, if you don't keep playing, you're gonna fall behind, right?
Yeah.
It's literally the subscription model. Like I said, the subscription model is in my opinion pretty predatory for buyers, because, and it's also stupid in this day and age, because if like Snow, if I'm chilling here and I'm like, you want to go play a game of League after this? We could literally go play a game of League. If we're like, hey, we didn't play Valorant before, you want to go play a Valorant? If one of us didn't have a subscription to WoW and I was like, you want to play WoW after this? You're like, I'd have to sub. Like, you'd have to pay like $15 to play maybe one time in the month, right?
Yeah.
I can't ask my friend to play WoW quickly. It's a commitment to play WoW. Even from the get-go, from the very moment you sign up, it is a commitment to play WoW. And that is what is so bad, is they're making you commit instead of making you want to commit, right? That I think is such a big thing, is it also makes you as a designer lazy, in my opinion, because it means you're designing hooks for people to make them committed instead of designing great things that make people want to commit to your game, right? You're forcing commitment. It's this is like going up to your girl and being like, do you love me? Like, like
Oh, no.
yeah, I love you. Instead of them coming up to you and being like, hey, I love you. And when it's out of the blue, it's like way more genuine, right? So it's like that. Blizzard is the company going like, do you love me? And you're like, yeah, of course I love you. Like, yeah. Instead of like walking up to them and telling them that you love them out of the blue, that's like what other games are doing right now. And that's what people find so charming about it. Blizzard has lost their charm in terms of their game because they're too slimy now. They're seen as too slimy. Like I talked about it a long time ago, and I've said it many times. Typically bad business practices are now good business practices in gaming, because gamers are addicts. We want to commit to something. We don't want to be forced to do it. And if we smell that you're trying to get us addicted, too obviously, we get put off. It's like the mouse that fucking is like, yeah, that's a trap. Like, you just smelling that peanut butter, you're like, no, that's just a fucking trap, bro. And you're not gonna bite.
Yeah.
So they just need to make something that is good that we want to go get.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the fun element as well. Is like all these things they keep putting this stuff in that isn't even fun. It's just obviously just there to get you to play the game, but it's not even fun. Like when I talk to all these retail guys, like especially like because I'm in the same guild as Savix on Felina, right? He almost quit the game completely because of the retail stuff. He was saying the other day he was this close to just canceling his entire WoW subscription because he was just so over retail. He couldn't like anything time he thinks of retail, he thinks, oh god, I gotta do this, I gotta get all this done, and if I don't do this, I fall behind. And even though he enjoys TBC, enjoys TBC raiding, he enjoys the PvP there, it influenced even his TBC stuff where he was like, oh man, like do I just cancel my whole WoW subscription at this point, because he just can't take it anymore. And it just feels like these retail guys have been getting hit by this so much that they're just done. They can't anymore.
Yeah, and like, don't make me do Torghast. Make Torghast fun enough that I want to do it, right? I just think at this point it's lazy game design, because you aren't making things fun enough for the player and understanding their experience to make them want to do something. Make us want to play your fucking game by making it good. Don't force us to play your game, because eventually we're going to catch on and leave. Right? And also the other thing about that is if we miss a week, right? Like even right now, people feel this right now with arena points, right? People are like, I didn't arena the first 3 weeks on this character. I have 0 points. I'm so far behind. Oh, I didn't PvP and get honor back when it was like I could cap so easily that first day. People feel really fucking behind when these things happen, right? So you need to make the players, the average player, feel like they aren't falling behind when they don't play your game, right? Because you have a fucking subscription-based model anyway. If somebody plays the game three times a week instead of all day, every day, you're getting the same amount of money from those two players, right? That you need to have those players stay engaged and not be like the person who plays 3 times a week goes, fuck, I'm too far behind, dude. It's just not worth it anymore, right? And then they aren't going to engage in PvP. I honestly think, and this is probably going to be like a really weird thing, is I actually think, I don't want to get too much flame for this, but
okay, here we go.
This is relative. This is relative. Okay, this is relative. Out of the teams at Blizzard working on WoW products, I personally think that the WoW Classic team is the ones who are nailing it the most. I think they're the ones that are doing this the best, right? There are issues like the character copy thing, right? That was a big fucking money grab issue. There's some issues, with the game, etc. But I think that when you buy WoW, any version, you don't have to get you don't have to completely upgrade, whatever. When you buy Shadowlands and you sub, you get WoW Classic. WoW Classic didn't cost you any extra money, right? If you had a WoW sub, you got Classic, right? It didn't cost you anything extra. I think that's a good move. When it comes to when it comes to the way that they respond to players now and their feedback, I think is moving in the right direction. I think that things like the arena point change, right? The fact that they're updating their game for a more modern audience, a more grindy audience, I think that they are out of the teams that work on WoWs, any version of WoW, this is the best one currently. And I think that other parts of the company should take cues from them, and I think they should even go further.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like they just need to put, they've got some of the stuff right, but I feel they just need more resources as well. It feels like the team's so small that they even if they want to do stuff, I'm not even sure if they have the manpower to do stuff. We see there's so many bugs still in the game that exist that we know about. By the way, jewel crafting trinket still broken.
Which one?
The Knight's Eye Panther jewel crafting trinket.
How's it broken?
It's supposed to give you an active for 12 seconds. It gives you an active for 10 seconds, then the buff disappears. So it's actually a 10-second buff. And this has been something reported since beta. It's been happening.
Does the when you activate it, do you get the little panther?
Yeah.
It's probably linked to that in some way.
Yeah.
It probably has a 1 second spawn and 1 second despawn or some shit.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But yeah,
it might be something linked to that. You'd have to see if it's consistent with all the jewel crafting trinkets, like if you make the boar or something like that, or anything else that involves a tiny little pet. But yeah,
there's a game tester knowledge coming in.
There's it's just fucking trying to figure out what's going on. It might just be something random, but that's always try to figure out intuition wise. But I honestly think they're doing the best out of everyone, but they're Jamie IRL says their turnaround on updates like that are too slow IMO, but it's probably because the team is so small. Exactly. But I honestly think if you put more resources into classic WoW, the reality of the situation is classic WoW doesn't make them any money, right? Classic WoW only makes them the money that the WoW Classic players who sign up to play WoW Classic like me, that's it. You just retain that audience. There's no real money grab from the store or anything like that yet, right? Just those one-time buys, etc. So putting money and resources into classic WoW is not something that you immediately see returns on. And this is why I think the subscription model is flawed and the way that they monetize is flawed, because you don't get good actionable feedback. Like I said, if we're making a game and working on it constantly just to make a good fucking game and it makes us no money, and then the skins team is the one who's making us money and they have to outdo themselves all the time because immediately they tie things in and you go, okay, why did we not make enough money off this skin? Was it released at a bad time? Is it not on popular champions?
I told you, Bob, to make more Ari skins. Ari skins only.
Ari. The KDA is literally a fucking K-pop band devoted to selling skins. You're welcome, guys. All these things are to push skins at the end of the day. But the thing is you you don't think about it immediately because they're not at the forefront of what they're doing. They're just like, hey, check this thing out. By the way, they're like, check this thing out. KDA is fucking cool. They have good songs. By the way, if you actually want to have them in the game, here you go. They don't go like, look at these skins. And by the way, these skins sing. Like, they do it the other way around. They make you fall in love with what it is and then go, if you like that, you can actually get this version of it in game, right? It's kind of like, hey, you want to, hey, I don't know why I was going to say this, but it was like, hey, you like Kanye West? We got a Kanye West skin for you. It's like, if you like something outside of game, you might want to buy it in game. So, yeah, they,
it's just like his Aquaman costume from the South Park episode.
I'd buy that instantly. But I really think that the monetization for gamers should be tied to things that need to be designed, that gamers give you immediate feedback like, we like this is good, instead of the game design itself. Separate them. Make a good fucking game that people want to play, right? And don't care about, because I'll tell you, I think that the designers have their balls in a fucking vice grip. And no, this ain't sexual harassment. I'm saying they got their balls in a salad shooter. Because if you don't make something that can be monetized, what good is your fucking product? It's like the game designers are being restrained, in my opinion, because they can't make good things purely to make good things. They have to make good things that can be monetized, which is like, it can really tarnish something, right? It can really tarnish something. I think it's, when you separate those two, you give game designers complete absolute freedom of making something that's great for players, by players, and then the monetization is separate. So I just think they're doing it wrong, and I think the Classic team is the ones that are the closest to getting it right, because Classic, ever since the release of Classic, did you think Blizzard was like, when Classic came out, they were like, this is going to make us money? I don't think Classic WoW release was ever something that WoW went, or Blizzard went, this is going to make us a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it took them a long time to even get on board with the idea.
Well, yeah, because they went, well, because I think is like you think you do, but you don't. But what they were saying was, this isn't going to make us any money if we do it, because it's not going to make them money if they do it, right? But the way it will make them money is it'll keep players more engaged. It's just like esports. When I first started working at Riot, before they made like esports skins or world skins or anything like that, esports was a black hole of money that the company always had meetings about, and the president was like, no, we're trusting this. They're throwing millions and millions of dollars a year at, like, tens of millions of dollars a year at esports back then, and they didn't see any return. You sell arena tickets to an event. Great. You paid for the event, sorta, right? They didn't have any sponsors. You're making direct money there. Like, how is this making you money? They're like, I guess if like Bjergsen plays Poppy and plays this skin, the sales of that skin go up briefly, right? So is esports to push skins? But no, it's a thing that people enjoy that keeps them engaged with the product and makes them want to play or pay for things, right? And I think they understood that, right? I think they understood that at the time. And it was just this, like I said, black hole of money, but it got people more exposed to their game, made more people want to play, brought in people who were like, hey, you play League of Legends, you should check it out, right? And then it became like a social thing. Yeah. I think that's way more powerful, starting a movement like that.
Even to use the League of Legends example, I didn't even know what League of Legends was. I just knew that it was, when I first saw it, I just knew it was really big on Twitch for whatever reason. But when I watched it, I had no idea what was going on, because it's one of those games where you need to know the champion abilities. I was just watching these guys go around on the screen. You have no idea what's going on. But because of the hype of the esports, the first league event I really watched was the finals where TPA had that crazy game where they came
season 2.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere and then they won. And I was watching that, and the next day I went into work and I was talking to my co-host. I was talking to my coworker and I was thinking, yeah, did you watch that thing on Twitch last night? That was crazy. And like both of us barely knew League, but we watched that and that got us hyped on League. And that was what got me hooked into League.
TPA versus Azubu Frost.
Yeah, with the back doors and everything. It was crazy. And
like CJ Entis, bro. Yeah. Or I guess they became CJ Entis later. Which, by the way, random aside, I didn't know that Korean companies do this, but they take English words and they smash them together and make a new word. Like CJ Entis. Entis is entertain us.
Oh, really?
Smashed together. Yeah. CJ Entis is entertain us. It's kind of like, do you know KT Rollster?
Yeah.
Rollster is roller coaster.
Oh, really?
They just smash it together.
No idea.
Yeah. That's why their logo has a fucking roller coaster in it. Like that, I actually do that a few times. So it's not uncommon for that. Just random fucking aside.
Yeah. I tell you, the marketing works though, because when I first moved to Korea for my wife, I had to pick between do I want my SKT phone or do I want my KT phone?
Oh, dude, there's telecom.
And I was like, oh, well, I like Faker. Okay, we're going SKT. And I was like, oh, yeah, the marketing works. It totally worked for me. We went SKT.
See? You're like, fuck Ryu. No. Like, I don't want no bitch 1v1 Z phone. I want the one who won that shit. Like,
but yeah, so to link this back to TBC, I feel there's this kind of problem that's slowly creeping into it that becomes bigger in retail, because right now we know what we get. The advantage of classics, we know what we get. We know what's coming up. We know what we get for the most part. But what is slowly coming in is the chores. It's not so bad right now because it's only
the dailies.
Yeah, it's only the start of the chores.
Here come the dailies.
But it's coming. We have like you said, we have the dailies. We have even just the reputation grinds.
But here's the thing.
Draining people.
I don't think those are that bad, because once a wise man once told me, when I told him that the boosts were 50 gold a piece and he still bought them when I was boosting palette, he said, gold comes and goes, but experience is forever. Which meant as soon as he gets that 30k EXP, he never has to get it again. And then the next 30k and then the next 30k. So when it comes to reputation, once you get it, you never have to get it again, right? So once I'm done farming my Netherwing Drake, I never have to do that again on that character, right? There is an endpoint to it. But that's the problem with other things in like WoW with Torghast and stuff, is like, sure, you got your legendary, but what if we made you have to farm another one? Like, it's never done, right?
Yeah.
Your job is never done. So that's I think the problem. Is I don't think the Shatari Skyguard or things like that are a problem, or Gorilla or anything like that. I think those are good examples of, even if I don't do it, right, there's a cap on it. So eventually I'm fine, right? Whereas if I miss an arena week, right, I'm behind everyone else forever until I catch up somehow, right? Like, if they get full fucking arena gear, that's when it caps, right? But the season will be over before that, or around that time. So that's, I think, the difference. Is there's right now it feels really bad because the season will end at some point and people don't have enough points to even get full sets. And the only people who will get full sets are people who literally are like top of 5v5 ladder since week 1. So it's that's something where, like, if you fall behind, you're behind forever. Whereas Shatari Skyguard, Netherwing Drake, those things have caps on them. It's kind of like how conquest points work in retail, right? Whereas even if you're behind on your points, caps every week, right? So yeah, that's I think an interesting one.
I do worry a little bit about the catch-up mechanics, though. I think they have to be very aware of how to get people to come in if they're behind, particularly in like they did say that they would reduce the reputation needed and such for future phases, I guess, for people who need to catch up, so that they don't have this. That's kind of the problem with WoW, is that there's this, as the expansions go on, the mountain of work you need to do to be raid ready and to participate with your friends grows and grows and grows until it becomes too hard or too annoying for you to be like, hey man, yeah, just come join me in WoW. You gotta grind all these reputations to revere, then you gotta do this long keying process. Oh yeah, then you gotta do heroic Alcatraz. That might take you a couple hours in a pug unless we carry you. And then maybe after that you can come join us on the raid. right?
Did you know that? Did you know that there was a there's an item that drops from I think it's Lady Vaj or Kael'thas. It's a scroll. It's a scroll that, let's see if I can find this. You get it, and when you use it on someone, it will attune them to SSC. It got changed to just making 5 marks of the Illidari later when they removed attunements.
Yeah, that would be great if it will allow you to bring more new people into the raid without having to go through that ridiculous attunement process. Because I'll tell you what, doing those heroics, those heroics suck. Those heroics you need for the final attunements are really bad.
Well, they're also really bad because of the fact that less and less people are going to need them in the future.
Yeah.
Like people feel this right now where they're trying to grind like normal rep. People don't need fucking normal rep right now, right? And people are like not needing badges anymore. So they'd have to introduce things that require people to do more heroics, get badges, to like allow people to catch up or play with them, right? Or even incentivize people to do normals. That's why they moved the heroic requirement down from revered, right? Later on.
Yeah.
To honored, just so you can get that with every faction just from quests without ever having to step like in the instances really. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I think this is like something where I was like, oh shit, that's actually like a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the hardest part. I've seen people already complain about how hard it is to recruit new people and such. It's only going to get harder to recruit new people. So they really need to be aware of these mechanics and really on the ball if they don't want massive drop off with like new players and such.
You need really, like, I think helpful players in your guild are like more valuable than ever right now. Like people who will run things they don't need to help people, like they're more valuable than ever before.
For sure. I think this is where like really established guilds have their strengths come in. Because I'm in a whole bunch of different guilds and it's very different. Like I've said, it's very different depending on the guild. If you have the helpful people who will run you through the heroics versus like for example, I did all the heroics in one night on one of my tunes, just helping out some guildies get attuned. And we did it in a few hours. It was pretty easy because we had like a full guild group. We just chugged through them. But then versus my Felina tune where I pugged them, 3 hours in heroic Alcatraz. We wiped so many times we had to repair a bunch of times. And then we wiped to the last boss 4 times. The healer quit. I had to pay someone from looking for group 50 gold to come and heal for me. Because I was not going through heroic Alcatraz pug again ever, and that was my attunement run on the second rogue.
Yep, I have to do a lot of that. I have 4 characters. I have to attune 3, so
yeah, I will say it is not very out friendly right now with the rep grinds and the attunements. Definitely not very out friendly. I don't know if that's something they want to look at in the future. Or if not, but yeah, it's pretty bad to have an alt right now and have to do all the grinds over and over and over like that.
Yeah, I think they caught on design wise later that like these things were problems and they needed to remove them, right? So they don't keep these like throughout the entire game. So I think that's at least they understood and made the game better over time. But yeah.
So I mean, we touched on this a little bit earlier with the PvP changes and such coming in. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. So it sounds like at least they're listening. Like this is a little bit of what Zirene meant earlier. He's not saying the WoW Classic team's perfect, but at least it seems they've got one step forward. They're trying to do these things that matter and communicate and improve the things. It's just that sometimes they seem a bit slow, and we don't know maybe if that's because their team's small or whatever it is. But we need more of this. Basically, we need more of them doing these things. But before we jump into this, did you hear about Mia getting banned, by the way? I thought that was interesting. So I got the tweet here. He got, just to lay the groundwork for people who don't know. So Mia is what most would consider the best PvP rogue right now, if not one of the best PvP rogues in TBC. And he got banned for AFKing in BGs. Now, I won't go into the whether he actually did AFK or didn't AFK because that's kind of he said, she said, we don't know for sure. There were reports of people who saw him AFKing, but it's like one of those things where I don't know. It sometimes can be a little bit tricky seeing someone's AFK, particularly in places like Irati Basin, where literally sometimes you're just sitting there and there's nothing you do. You sit in a node and just defend it. You have nothing to do. So I'm not going to go into whether he actually AFK'd or not. But he basically got banned for, I think it was 7 days. 7 or 10 days he got banned for, which if he did do it, it's fine. That's a deserved ban if he was AFKing. But the side effect of that is that Blizzard has this interesting rule where if you have more than a 3-day ban in WoW, you cannot participate in tournaments for a year. So the side effect of him getting AFK reported in BGs is that he now can't compete in TBC because a year is basically like the lifespan of TBC. Now there were talks on whether Blizzard might be removing that rule, but it did seem very harsh. I don't mind the ban for the AFK if he did AFK, but the 1-year ban is kind of insane for competitive.
Yeah, it's a Blizzard policy that I think has been there for a while now. If you guys know who Magnus Z is, he's a like really famous arms warrior in retail who's like multi-rank 1, is like a streamer for Method and all of that. He's in my guild, and he got what happened was I think he accidentally bought the wrong resilience boots, right? Because there's like 3 versions of the plate boots. Yeah. I think he bought the one that had int on it by accident. Because it's just like, it's the same stats except it has like int on it and like slightly less every stat. And then he was like, wait, I can't like get this back or anything. Like he's like, I bought the wrong one for like thousands of honor. And he was like, okay, well, I guess I need to make this up somehow. So he AFK'd he AFK'd a few games, right? And then he got banned for a week. And then the Arena World Championship was going on. And I was like, why aren't you in this? And he's like, I got more than a 3-day ban in TBC, and it affects me on everything. So he's actually banned from the AWC for a year.
Jesus.
Because he AFK'd BGs in TBC. So he's banned from retail tournaments for a year as well. So it's a thing Blizzard does. They want their PvPers to set a precedent that they are always active. Now, if this is something where Mur actually like 100% was not AFKing, then that needs to be looked into, right?
I mean, like, it's really tricky on that as well, because here's the thing. I
think this is the thing too, is it's a first offense, right? That's the thing, is it's a first offense. I'm a dude who fucking errs on the side of forgiveness, like always. And I think that this is something where you need to be a little more lenient, right? Especially with those people. Like, how we talked about should streamers get preferential treatment? I think people who are part of your arena community or people who participate in your tournaments, right? And like are, good for your game to some degree, should be talked to and informed more thoroughly about these things, and not just like first offense, get fucked, right? Like, because it's an automatic thing. Yeah, it's an automatic thing where if you're banned for more than 3 days, you're done, right? For a year, which is massive repercussions. Like that's like working at Riot Games. We had like, I remember there's a time where we had to bring in esports pros, and then they were like, look, just unbind your enter key. Like if you want to continue to be in like the amateur or be in the LCS, it's like your behavior background check, it doesn't check out. So just unbind your enter key, shut the fuck up in solo queue, and then you can play competitive. Like that actually happened multiple times. There was actually a point where like it turned out like almost everybody was below the threshold for what we would consider like a behavior check. So it was pretty Monka-esque. But yeah, it's definitely something where you want to err on the side of I mean, helping people who help your game, right?
This goes back to like the communication thing as well, where Blizzard, if they care, but I mean, Blizzard has shown in the past that they don't really care that much about the arena PvP community. But if they want to care about it, I feel they need to communicate more with like players about this thing, especially in regards to this particular case, where I've played on EU before. EU players kind of they take harassment and such to kind of a crazy level at times, and as I've seen,
like a Blizzard level of harassment. No,
they take it to such a crazy level because my rogue was in progress for a while, and I wasn't even actively on the speedrunning team, and I would get harassed by like the snipers and such, and I could see this being a thing from EU where if they find out like, wait, we can just get these competitive players banned. Okay, yeah, everyone mass report this guy every BG, and they're gonna start doing this because that's the way they roll. They take everything to an extreme, whether it's speedrunning or trolling or anything like this. And I don't think they want this to become a thing where the trolls realize, oh wait, you just want this guy banned from the game? Yeah, just report him in BGs. He can't play in tournaments for a year now.
If I don't know if he updated and said they've even gotten back to his appeal, because
he's unbanned now, but last I heard he hadn't heard back from anyone regarding like what might happen. There's some talk about maybe they're gonna remove that rule, like the 1 year ban rule a little bit, or reduce it, but I don't believe he's heard back last I heard.
Well, I don't know. I just think Blizzard need to hire people to communicate and foster a community, right? And have like a fucking liaison. Well, I just think they need somebody to communicate with content creators, right?
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I hope he's not banned for a year, because I actually really like watching his stuff. Mir stuff at least, because when I watch him, I realize, man, I gotta do everything like way faster. Like when I watch Mir PvP, I think, Jesus Christ, it feels like I'm playing the game at he's playing the game at half speed or so, like 10 times speed, because sometimes like when he does combos, I think, okay, I need to make a macro for that, because I can't vanish, cheap shot, shadow step, all that stuff as fast as he does. I don't know if he's using a macro, but I definitely need a macro for that. Because some of the stuff he does is nutty, like the speed of the execution. But yeah, so speaking of that, yeah, we got sidetracked a bit with the PvP stuff. They are lowering the price of PvP rewards as well. So they had a whole bunch of things they kind of covered, but they haven't really referred to it in a while, so no one knows when this is exactly going in. But they are reducing the price of arena gear. They're supposedly also reducing the price of the honor gear, although no, I haven't seen anyone confirm what the reduced price are, because it's not on PTR anymore. The arena changes were there for a while. I saw someone posted a screenshot, like the 1100 cost arena gloves were 900 cost while they were there. So it seems to be something like a 20-25% reduction in the cost, which I think is really good. Like again,
well, they also upped points too, right?
Yeah, so. Yeah, and they up points. So if you are, I think it's like 1505 now, you get at least 500 points.
Yeah, and after 1500, it goes up substantially after 1500.
Yeah, it's actually really good. It's actually really, really good. I've heard from a lot of people who were very pleasantly surprised. They had like a 1700 2-steam or something, and they got way more points than expected, which I think is the way forward. Because even the people who are really highly ranked, like you said, like the Chans of the world who have full PvP set and such, they don't care if the beginners catch up faster. They just want more people PvPing. They just want a bigger community. So they're perfectly happy if there's more catch-up mechanics for Arena, so that people actually play Arena. I think is the big thing. But the Outlands faction thing is actually huge, I think, because so what they're doing is, as long as you're revered, you can basically pick up a full PvP set next phase.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, like super good clarity, because people have had these questions, and this is me going, okay, they are literally answering almost all the questions where people are like, I've heard honor doesn't reset, you should cap now. I've heard arena points roll over, right? And so they've heard this too, and they've had this question as well. And I've heard like both sides where people are like, oh, it does roll over, it doesn't roll over. I'm so fucking glad that they're so transparent about this. Like, this is literally what you need for your game, right? Because then people can say like, oh, that's a good change or bad change, right? Or that's something that should happen or shouldn't happen. So yeah, and like, yeah, Menarch is talking about something we'll talk about in a second here, because I'm really excited about this. But yeah, we can continue talking about
PvP change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really good, right? Because revered, you already need revered to be able to get attuned and everything. So a lot of people already have revered faction. So which means season 2, they can just walk up to the vendors, buy it with gold, and they have a full resilience set at least, which is a lot better than right now, where God, the amount of people I know who are gladiators in Classic who don't even want to play right now because they can't do the honor commitment. to
Yep.
even get started is a lot. There's a lot of guys who want to PvP who aren't PvPing right now.
Yeah, it's a huge fucking commitment. It's so long in terms of just grinding.
I mean, even the hardcore players. Like I was talking to Chen the other day, he was saying how he wants to buy a piece of gear and replace it and swap his gear around, but he's not doing it because he saw the owner commitment because he has to do some gear swaps there, and he was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that because that involves honor. Anything with honor, now he's out. Not doing that.
Yep. It's a big nope. Big nope.
But yeah, no, it's really good. So arena points are also being converted at a rate of 1 to 10 for honor points. So if you end up the season with like 5,000 arena points, that's 50,000, right? Am I doing the math right? 50,000 honor points at the end of season where it gets converted.
How many arena points did you say you had?
Oh, 5,000?
Yeah, okay,
Yeah. You end up with like 50,000. If you're one of the high guys that caps out your arena points. I know some of them are actually planning to do that rather than buy arena gear because they hate the honor grind way more than actually needing the arena points. They'd rather just cap out and get 50,000 on day one so you don't have to worry about honor stuff.
Yep. And that's gear that you'll have that's like BIS PvP at that time, right? And BIS PvP throughout that entire phase. So
yeah. So just before we go into the next stuff here, what do you think about this? But the spit removal.
Oh, the spit removal.
I think it's like a non-factor for me because it's kind of like, look, I get like what you guys are trying to do with removing spit, but it doesn't do anything. Like, what's the point of this?
This is like the time I got fucking talked to for the tweet where I said something like, my girlfriend squeezes the toothpaste from the center and like I think she's a monster, right? And then people were like, this is a bad look, you making fun of your girlfriend. And it's like, wait, what? Like, and then I got talked to about it at work, like pulled aside for it. And they're like, this is kind of a bad look. And I'm like, you read the one comment of somebody who was upset about this, didn't you? And so I'm like, Blizzard, you read the one comment about somebody who was like, /spit is harassment. Like, and they were like, damn, that's how everyone thinks? Well, looks like I got to remove that shit. And that, yeah. So I just think I
don't understand them.
So.
I feel like this was more of like just like a PR thing. Or I don't even understand. It's not even a good PR move. It's just, it doesn't do anything because you can still slash like EM spit and such. And I mean, there's worse things in the game. Like, I mean, you could teabag. I was watching Chan the other night teabag someone while killing the enemy team at the same time. Apparently, he has sit bound in arena for that purpose. I don't know how you would nerf that because that seems worse than spitting on someone who's teabagging them while killing them. It's like these things are just so pointless. I don't see the reason in removing these things. It's just like don't even waste your resources on this stuff.
In my opinion, both sides are fucking stupid, right? The people who are removing /spit and the people who care that /spit is being removed. I think both sides are fucking stupid because, like you said, it's fucking pointless. I don't give a fuck if they remove /spit. I really don't. I don't give two fucks. I'm not like, this is part of the game. It's no changes. I like to spit on people all the time. How the fuck am I going to tell Horde I don't like them? Like, you /fart on them. I don't fucking care. Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. Right? It's pointless. So I just think both sides, the people who are like up in arms about this, I'm just like, bro, like, do you really like /spit that fucking much? Like, Jesus Christ.
I will say I have the mount and I've never been. I think I might have been spit on once. This wasn't even an issue for me as someone with a with a boost mount.
You play on Fairlina, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. What's your name?
I was trying to do a run by spit on you the other night though. I saw you were AFK there. I was like, oh, I'm gonna run by spit on Zirene. I'm gonna go a quick run by. We got to get the spits in before they remove it. But then you logged off, and I just couldn't get it. They couldn't get it before you logged off.
Oh my god!
But yeah,
it's just it's pointless. I think it's stupid to remove it, and I think it's stupid to be upset that they're removing it.
Yeah,
like, come on, guys. You're like, oh, don't like the people who are sitting there going, wow, don't you have better things to spend resources on? I'm like, don't you have better things to be fucking upset about? Like, What the fuck? Why is this a thing? Why are we talking about this? Like,
Yeah, let's talk about dual spec instead. Bring dual spec in, please.
You didn't ruin the sanctity of fucking emotes or classic WoW. Like, god damn. People are saying it's because of people splash spitting on their store mounts, right? It's targeted harassment at people who are spending money on the game because people are protesting, right? But the way that they're protesting is they are harassing the people who have purchased something, right? Which is wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like shaming someone, like that, all that shit. That's just not right to do in the first place. So control your fucking self. Like that's all I can say. Like if you care about slash spitting to like harass people, just fucking control yourself.
Yeah. But yeah, to go back to the topic that Zirene, I know Zirene wants to talk about, is the raid reward boost. They're boosting the amount of tokens we get. Really good. So 2 tier 4 tokens are going to drop off the existing bosses, which is really good because some guilds have had really bad luck, and some of the gears bis for next phase as well. So they're going to get 2 tokens from High King, 2 tokens from Grow, 2 tokens from Mag as well. And then they up the tier 5 tokens to 2 as well.
I remembered it being like that. Maybe it wasn't like that in phase 1.
I think it was later, yeah. It was later, but they brought it forward a bit, which I think is a good move. Yeah.
Not Prince Malchazar or Curator. Yeah, that's because it's a 10-man fucking instance instead of a 25-man. So double the people, double the number of drops. It's fine. The 20 people that you have in the 25 people that you have in a in a Gruul, sure, you only see 2 shoulders, 2 chests, but those 25 people will see 3 helms and 3 gloves that week. They each just get to see 1, right? Or each 10. So yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really nice. Yeah, it's really nice because we need more loot for the 25 mans. It's a bit rough sometimes if you get bad RNG in particular with the tier tokens. You could really be waiting a while for some of those tokens. Because I was doing my loot lists.
We talked about this a while ago, where I was just like, bruh, why is only 1 dropping? Like, this is going to be impossible to fucking get what you want, especially for some classes where the tier pieces are good.
Zirene, are you saying that you don't have 2 rogues with DST and the tier chest already as well?
I don't want to talk about the chest I'm using on my rogue, so it's okay. I basically have like almost full vis aside from DST and a better chest. So,
yeah.
So wait, random rogue question. When phase 2 comes out, you know how typically Netherblade Mask, Terror Weave Tunic, and Skulkers are your bis. Is Netherblade chest, legs, and then Engineering goggles bis at the start of phase 2?
I think the goggles for sure, but the tricky thing is you got to get like the tier off pieces that you don't want right now, right? Like you got to get like the tier 4 legs potentially to swap those in. And I don't actually have that yet. I have the pieces I need, but I don't have tier 4 legs or the tier 4 shoulders if I wanted more rotation like ability to try to keep my tier sets. But I think that's going to be the thing that rogues will look forward to for phase 2 is they got to try to pick up these offset pieces so they can keep the set bonuses while swapping in like NG goggles and such. It's going to be tricky. Yeah. Because I know shamans all want the shoulder thing. So you got to wait behind the shamans for your tier token right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you don't really need shoulders, but yeah.
At least the legs shouldn't be too bad though, because I don't think most classes even need the legs.
Just say you pass on tier 4, and if you get T5 prio, and just get 4 pieces of T5. Week 1.
Well, I was thinking earlier, because people asked me about my loot list for phase 2, and before I would have put the tier tokens almost like pretty high on the loot prio because they seemed really annoying to get. You only get 1 per kill, but now with it doubling, I think it's going to be a little bit easier. It's going to be it's going to be twice as easy now because you get 2 tokens. Which makes it a lot easier because before I was thinking like, well, usually you don't really prio tier, but in this case, you only get 1 per kill. It might be really annoying. So it's
really annoying.
It's going to actually really help out 2 tier tokens.
This is a good fucking change. This is a good change because this is how I remember the game being. and it's so fucking annoying. But also, what Blizzard is doing right now, in my opinion, is they are setting the game up to have an accelerated modern pace. Shadowlands has been criticized out the fucking ass for being slow with content, and they have a backlog of content for TBC. They could make TBC be a year and a half, or even just a year, maybe a little more, versus 2 years for Classic. Our asses were in BWL for too fucking long. Like, we were in BWL for too long. My MC for too fucking long. And I think it's important to think about those things when it comes to this, because they have a chance here to make this accelerated. They're increasing honor, they're increasing arena, they're decreasing the cost of that gear simultaneously, so that the people can actually have an accelerated season, which means that you could potentially release things faster. Whereas right now, it's like people aren't even done with tier 4, and tier 5 might be right around the corner. Whereas you don't want T5 to be like right around, like, or you don't want T5 or T6 to be right around the corner and be like, dude, I don't even have fucking a piece or 2 pieces of tier 4 because you're just so unlucky, or tier 5 and like people want it. So yeah, this is good for potentially accelerating the pace of the game, but also allowing people to play catch up, because you don't want to have the game be too fast that new people can't come in. So
yeah, here's the thing about a lot of the things in early WoW, particularly Classic, is that I feel they borrowed a lot of things coming over from other MMOs like EverQuest in particular, where those mechanics were in place at the time. For example, the attuning and like the gatekeeping and such, all of that was in place to give the developers time to actually make the next set of content. And in EverQuest, there was a famous one where you had to go to the zone and get one really rare drop from every single zone in the game, and that was a huge time commitment, but they purposely put that in just to slow down the players. But we don't need that anymore. We know what's coming and such. It feels artificial and not fun sometimes to slow down the game so much to that way. Like, we don't need the game to be that slow. As we've seen, it really, really hurt the retail players when they got stuck for 9 months in particular. 9 months with no content. And but it's really good. I agree. It's really good that they're accelerating the game, making it more modernized for the modern player, where we don't need those artificial slowdowns anymore, because we have the content and we know what's coming up already.
Yep. Keep people engaged with your game, you know?
Speaking of SSC and TK though, have you done much? How much of SSC TK have you done on PTR?
I did like semi-pug stuff, SSC all the way to Morogrim, so no Lady Vaj, no Morogrim kill, and none of TK. But now my guild is requiring PTR, which I think it's good that it's, you know, required now. But what they did is they're taking the Sunday raid and they're making it happen on Saturday. So my Saturday is Gruul on Shaman, Gruul Mag on Shaman, Gruul Mag on Prop Paladin, Karazhan on Shaman, Karazhan on Prop Paladin, Gruul Mag on Rogue. So I have to do 3 Gruul Mags and 2 Karazhans that day, and I start at 10:30 a.m. and my Rogue's raid starts at 3:30. So I have 5 hours to do 2 Karazhans and 2 Gruul Mags, and I don't know if I'll be able to make it.
Yeah, you better hope those are smooth Karazhans.
Dude, they better be fucking smooth as fuck Karazhans. They better be fucking baby bottom smooth, or else I'm gonna be like, good fucking god, dude.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. Yeah, we are literally the same boss actually. Yeah, my guild just did our first PTR night. That's because what we found is we ran into TBC with 3 official raid nights, but we've always had 3 official raid nights, but we've always only needed 1 maybe because the content was easy enough. So we're using our other nights that we never used before now to at least experience. We don't really care about speedrunning SSC or TK or anything. We just want people to see the mechanics because it's a step up in difficulty. So we want at least people have the chance to see what the mechanics are, so that hopefully we can week 1 clear, I think is the main thing.
Yeah. I agree.
So, but speaking of which, when do you think phase 2 is dropping? Because everyone was saying August 31st, but then New World got delayed because everyone was saying, oh, they're gonna do it to screw New World. But now New World is delayed. And everything was leading up to that, it feels.
If it's going to be August 31st, they need to announce it by the end of this week. You need to give people like that 4-week buffer or 3-week buffer
to take time off.
Time off, but also attunements, right? Like if somebody is like, oh, I fucked up my mag attunement this week, right? You can't give somebody like a 1 week warning, because if they accidentally do it out of order, or they like did mag or some shit, then they can't finish their attunement that week. They have to do it next week, like that type of thing. So yeah, you need to give it like, yeah, you need to give it
the attunement stuff kind of scares me, because have you done the Fire Boss attunement for the end of the Shadow Moon questline? There's like a long cooldown, it seems, for that one. So if there's another group
I did that.
doing it, you kind of sit there for like 20 minutes waiting for the cooldown.
Or you let them start it and then wipe them at 20% and then kill it. I was multi-boxing my shaman, my rogue, and my paladin. And then a guildie of mine, I was like, oh, I'll just wait for them to finish. And a guildie of mine, randomly, out of nowhere. This is the guy who literally, his motto is red equals dead. He's like, even if you're a mind-controlled player, he's just going to kill you. Red is dead. So he goes, oh no, we're killing them. And I see him swoop down when it's at 30%, and he just fucking like dots them all up. They're running around. One of them gets fucking killed. It's on the Shadow Priest now. And I'm just like, oh shit. So I'm like controlling 3 characters. Like you were watching my stream around that time. When I had them all on follow, right? Yeah. That was like as that was gonna happen. So we swoop down, and then I take it at 30% with the taunt, and I have the tag, and because they're all dead, and then I just kill it, and I just attuned, like I think 2 of those characters needed the kill. So I was just like, holy shit, like that was really mean, but they dotted me first. So I swooped over, and I was like, oh, I'll just be friendly and sit here. And then they dotted me. So yeah, that's when I had to give it to him at that point.
Hey, well, they opened first, but yeah, it's I was warning my guild about that, or rather, like both. One of my guilds already has the official warning, is like, get this done, otherwise it's gonna suck if you try to leave this till the last minute. And then I think my other guild is getting on board with that now, because man, if you leave that attunement until the last week or 2, that's gonna be a mess. There's gonna be a lot of PvP action going on over there.
Well, the fucking, the boars where you have to like lure the boars to the fucking
you
have to save the boars and then lure them to the tubers. That's super griefable. Like if I don't want an alliance player to attune, I can literally keep killing the boars. He blows a whistle, I hit the boar. They're neutral.
You remember when I said EU does
you could literally stop the alliance and horde from attuning if you wanted to.
This is the kind of thing I would expect like EU griefers to do. They would set up like a chain of boar killers to stop guilds attuning.
Yeah. Like you better hope that anybody who's going for like fucking world firsts in a competitive, like
it's already
stop.
Attuned.
Yeah, they better be fucking attuned already, because it's like like fucking trying to get Tetsu. Man. Like, oh
god, yeah. I mean, like Tetsu has it the worst. Like I've seen the times when I was playing in progress, and Tetsu's out of nowhere he gets jumped by like 10 rogues. There's no counterplay. There's no counterplay to 10 rogues jumping you.
Yeah.
So the griefing is going to be next level on that one if you're not attuned.
Yeah, pretty sure most people did the attunement like a month ago. Yeah, but like some people have new characters that they've been bringing up, right? So that they can have like another character to play, or maybe a better character that's going to be played in terms of like it's more meta, right? So
yeah. Venida in the chat is talking about the tunes, and never underestimate the sweatiness of the top players who will be willing to level an entire new character just to improve the raid efficiency by like 0.1% or whatever for speedrunning.
Which, by the way, no.
When I tuned into your stream and you had the 3, like the I don't know what it even called, the threesome flying tactic, where one of your tunes didn't have like the epic flying, and you were like doing some weird spit roast strategy where you had to fly forward and wait for the one to catch up in the middle.
Look. One of my 4 characters has the wheelchair mount, okay? They only have a 60% flyer. The other 2 that were on follow had the 280%. So I just made a chain of the 280% following the 60, because the 60 would just fall behind if I had him on follow on the other ones. So basically the 60% is like this, and then the fucking 280 is like It's like goes up on his ass. He moves. And he's like, it's just. It was a train. It was a train. Yeah, that was how I got my attunements done yesterday. So yeah. But two things I wanted to talk about. Actually, I baited you. There were two things I wanted to talk about.
All right.
Were Warcraft logs asking about how they should handle SSC and TK logs, right? For progression, there's 4 options currently on Warcraft logs. The first one is, or one of them is basically have the logs require that in order to have like it's just have it all be one thing. So once people have cleared all of SSC and TK, it's considered progression is done, right? And the same raid must do it. The other one is consider it all the same, but different raid teams within the same guild can do it. So for example, if Progress had 50 people, they could go SSC and TK simultaneously and get world first that way. Whereas if they only had one raid team and went to SSC and cleared SSC then TK, some guild will beat them because they cleared both simultaneously.
Yeah.
So there's one where the one option is that where larger guilds with good players can break off and try to get world first that way, or require the same raid team to clear both, or combine them both initially for the first 24 hours where the same raid team has to clear both. And then after that, open it up. So the world first race will be like that. But then after that, they'll have leaderboards for SSC and TK. And then the other one is, the other one was, oh God, the last option, something like, keep them separate forever. So there's going to be like a world first SSC and a world first TK. Right.
Yeah.
I personally like the one where it's combine them for 24 hours and make the same raid team do it, because otherwise it's going to be like Progress got first SSC and then somebody else is going to get first TK because they went there first. Yeah. It's kind of like how AQ20 was, where it's like, because this is the first time that like instances are opening up, large instances are opening up simultaneously. So I voted for that one because I think the first 24 hours, whoever clears all of it first with the same raid team is the ones that I consider completing the content and being world first. Versus this guy cleared SSC, this guy cleared TK. After that, I think it's fine after the first 24 hours. But that's what I voted for.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I think that keeps it more exciting because otherwise it might get a bit scuffed and you like, well we did this, but we only won this because Progress wasn't doing this, and it feels weird.
Some people are backing the purely out of like it's interesting is you can have a 25 raid in SSC and TK and then have it count for world first as your guild cleared the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So your guild is the one that cleared it first instead of like your raid team.
That's interesting. I just don't know how many raids have that sort of manpower is the problem. Is
China.
No. That's true. Wait, they already have 2 raid teams on both factions.
Oh God.
We can call that the noobs rule. The noobs rule.
Yeah, you need enough players, right? That's the big thing. Is you need enough good players to do that. So, yeah, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Some people are backing that one though purely out of it's different, but also the fact that they consider the guild clearing it, right? So, yeah.
That would be. I mean, it'd be interesting to watch. I just don't know how many guilds could even compete in that very well.
Yeah. I also wonder what they're going to do for substitution rules, because this becomes a whole fucking like the ship of Theseus, right? Where it's like the identity of the ship, where it's the same ship, but every year you replace one plank on the ship, and eventually after thousands of years,
it's a new
ship.
Yeah.
Is it a new ship or is it still the ship of Theseus, right? Because it has no original part of it. So it's like, when does that identity get called into question, or does it ever, right? So ship of Theseus with raid teams. So like, for example, they're going to have to put in some rule of some kind where it's like, because I can tell you right now, the best raid composition to clear SSC is not the same raid composition to clear TK as fast as possible. So if one raid team goes from SSC to TK and you replace 20 of your members for hunters because of LAR or some shit, right? Like what are you going to do, right? What is Warcraft logs going to do? They have to put like a sub limit, I think, or do a sub punishment like they did. I think sub punishment is a little weird because, like how they did where it was, if you bring a new person into Nax, it's like 2 minutes off your time or something like that, or 3 minutes. So if you did that and it's like you replace like 5 people, it's like 15 minutes. And even though you're the ones who get the first kill, you add 15 minutes. So technically you killed this later in real time. So I don't think they could do that. They have to put a limit on subs. But I think once they talk about that, people will like min-max who their subs are, what classes they are. Because then you can just bring in a different character, right?
Yeah.
Like I could play my Paladin for SSC and then play my Ellie Shaman for like TK or something, right?
Yeah. I think it'd be super interesting if they did it like simultaneously, like with the whole guild like that. But yeah, again, the problem of most guilds don't have that sort of manpower. Someone in chat is saying noobs, world first, horde, and alliance at the same time.
True.
Yeah, they just dominate.
Fuck. Dude, that's literally like the biggest dick move they could do. They're just like, damn. Like, God damn, that would be insane, dude. Yeah, that would shut everybody up for a while. Since you haven't tested TK on PTR yet, are you ready for how melee unfriendly it is going to be? Yeah, I think that's fine, but I don't really care about TK speedruns in the future. I care about SSC. I think it's the more speedrunnable of the two. And it's the more interesting one in my opinion. So, and speedrunning 2 instances, I think is going to burn people out. So I think people will speedrun SSC in this phase and care about that time. And then I think in next phase, people will care about Black Temple and not Hyjal for speedruns. And one of the things that I actually want to talk about is warriors.
Uh-oh. Where are we going with this, Zirene?
In my multiple PTR SSCs,
Where's the copium emote? Where's the copium emote?
A warrior has been the top damage on almost every boss, and almost all trash. And in terms of overall, absolutely is dominated. Followed by an arcane mage, because arcane is just stupid with mind quickening gem and icy veins and arcane explosion, giving you a less than 1 second GCD to just spam the fuck out of that button. They're doing more damage on AoE than warlocks are. But that's because the trash packs, like I've talked about this, the trash packs are in the perfect number range for warriors for their AoE, right? It's not too many. It's just the right amount. It's like 2 to 6 to like around that range. And it's not more than that. When you get into like 10, stuff like that, that's where like warlocks start doing really well. But it's also interesting because I think that mobs in SSC and maybe other 25 mans have really low fucking armor. I'm Sinister Striking a warrior, like a Naga that's a warrior, right? It's not like a caster mob, it's a warrior. I'm Sinister Striking it for 1800 with no armor debuffs, no Fairy Fire, no Sunder armor at all. I'm Sinister Striking for 1800. And then the warrior in my guild is critting it for 3k. Right? When it has full armor debuffs, he's critting it for 3k. So I'm like, I think that people may have gotten armor values wrong on private servers because they seem to have really low fucking armor. Like these things are fucking paper when it comes to like the warrior's damage output, which is a big difference, right? Because even if the mob's HP is the same, you increase the armor, the warrior's going to do less damage, right? So it's actually really, I actually think warriors are heavily slept on, and people are probably going to bring 2 Fury warriors, maybe 3. But also, I just got caught onto this build is the warrior who's, so if you look at the number 1 Karazhan speedrun right now, it's 47 minutes, and the person who's done the most damage in it is a warrior by like 140% or 130%. He literally gaps the next person, and the next person's the arcane mage, and then they have warlock and hunter. So like they are dominating trash and speedruns already. They just need to be played to and have some resources put into them. And then I was just put onto this build where that guy who speedran, I forgot his name. It starts with a C. Krillton, I think, something like that. Krillton, yeah. Krillton. He's doing a dual wield arms spec on other bosses. So he's going 33-28-0 and dual wielding Dragon Maw and offhand Gladiator mace, and he's going mace spec, and he's getting 4 to 5 procs per minute of mace spec, which is it gives you 7 extra rage, right? Every time it procs. So he's getting like an extra 35-ish rage every minute, right? From this, which is more than you would get from a sword spec, right? Right.
Yeah.
Which it is really interesting. So he's going dual wield arms, and he's doing almost as much damage as the Fury Warrior in his raid on Magtheridon, on High King, on Gruul, and losing very little DPS. The problem I think that Arms Warriors are facing right now is Slam is just a shitty ability still, right? Even with a 0.5 second cast time, it's still a shitty ability with how much movement there is. It's not going to hit multiple targets, etc. So yeah, he's using 33-28-0, which is the standard arms build, but instead of like Slam, he's taking like dual wield specialization. So it actually looks really good, and it looks like if you have an Arms Warrior and they have maces of some kind, you can potentially get more damage out of that Arms Warrior right now, right? Just by having them drop two-handers.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Two-hander warriors.
I wouldn't have thought. Because you lose like 10% AP in Zerker stance and the threat reduction, and you lose 10% attack speed from flurry, right? Those are two things you lose from the spec. So other than that, it's relatively the same. But Bloodthirst and Bloodthirst, I guess. But Bloodthirst is a small amount of your damage in the grand scheme of things, because you're mostly whirlwinding, mostly heroic striking, mostly cleaving as the large source of your damage now. And this heroic strikes more, because think about it. Arms isn't really heroic strike. You slam, you white swing, because it's the only way you really get rage. So it's seems like it might be pretty good. So you might have 3 warriors in your raid dual wielding. So
what weapons do warriors go for in phase 2, by the way, if they do dual wield?
Dragon Strike and I think they want. Do they want Talon offhand? Well, here it would be Rod of the Sun King, right?
No, not my Rod of the Sun King. I need that for PvP.
Because Rod of the Sun King is one-handed, so they would use if it is the mace spec, he would use Rod of the Sun King in his offhand and Dragon Strike main hand. So more rage procs.
That is fascinating. Yeah, that is fascinating. But yeah, I don't think this whole people keep saying melee is bad and such for this next phase, but I haven't seen it yet. Like, I know there's some positional stuff where I literally chased
Leotheris around and DPS'd him the whole time.
You did that as well. That was so fun. Yeah. Like you pop sprint and evasion, and you just chase him around. It's so much fun. That was the most fun fight I've played so far.
The healers are like they're like fuck this motherfucker, dude. He's got like, I'm taking like 2k from the spin and then like the 2k dot, and I'm just chasing him, and I'm like, this isn't a problem. Just fucking heal me, like. Oh, it was great. It was great. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely fights that aren't great for melee, but like for overall the entire instance, I haven't really had horrible encounters yet. There's some stuff that hurts, but for the most part, even like right now, even just SSC, we'll see how bad I think TK is when I go in there. But SSC, the cleave, man, the cleave did a lot of damage. It almost makes me want to bring back the Blizzard request. Please reduce Blade Flurry time to 1 minute cooldown, because man, when I get that cleave in with all the cooldowns and I'm top of the meters for that pack, it's nice. It's nice when I see that 2k DPS up there.
It's called playing warrior, and then you have infinite cleave.
Yeah, right? yeah. So like, if the rogues are doing that, the warriors are definitely doing that even more, since you don't have to wait for the Blade Flurry cooldown to be back up again.
Yep. It's I just think it's interesting, because like, it once again goes back to my prediction of like, I think that warriors coming into TBC, people are just really upset that they were good all throughout Classic, and people were told to like re-roll and shit. Like, warriors are insane in speedrun still. They are going to be like near the top of your damage for the reasons that like the warrior class functions. Like, 0 downtime is pretty fucking good when you're trying to run. And they just do a lot of trash damage. people like, I don't know. I had like private server people coming into my chat being like, dude, you're fucking stupid. Warriors are ass. Nobody's going to play that shit. They're really bad. I'm like, people aren't going to stack it, but like, they're still going to be good. Right. And people are like, oh, world buffs are gone. Like, they're like, I play private servers. Look at this private server data. And I'm like, that's just bosses. I'm like, you're literally showing me like fucking Brutalis or some shit. And I'm like, yeah, hunters are good on bosses. Like, who fucking, what? Like, who fucking didn't expect that? They're really good single target. Okay. It's like, I'm talking about overall. And people are saying that warriors are bad. I don't know. A little chip on my shoulder because a lot of people were like telling me I was going to see, I was like, you're going to be wrong. They're telling me I'm going to be wrong in like a few months, or that I'm stupid, or like discrediting me. I don't know, man. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. And warriors are only going to get better because they get armor pen and haste, and they don't even have those fucking stats right now. Like, it gets way better for them.
By the way, can I just say how happy I am that the rogue trinket is rogue only? Because
yes,
God, imagine if you had to compete with warriors for the armor pen trinket. That would suck.
Yeah. Thank God. Yeah, I was like, yeah, but it'd be DST all over again, dude. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly feel like you'll probably have 2 warriors, maybe 2 to 3 Fury warriors, or 2 to 3 at least dual wielding. Maybe you have dual wield arms. So you might bring 4 warriors to raid with like maybe a prot, maybe.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated to see what happens with the speedruns. I know we got Fienzi in the chat, who's he's a betrayer. He used to be the rogue class lead of Progress. Now plays warrior.
And warriors are not the benefactors. They're the beneficiary. You play to a warrior, they're going to top your damage, right? You put a warrior in that group instead of a hunter, instead of a 4th hunter or 3rd hunter, I guess. If it's a feral group, you're going to get more damage out of your raid by putting a warrior there, right? So
I'd be very curious to see what happens if one raid runs like a warrior focus comp and one runs like a hunter focus comp, and see the difference.
Yep.
That'd be really fascinating.
The hunter comp's going to eat shit on trash because hunter trash damage in SSC is not very good. They're like 4th in trash damage, like, and they're a very safe class. Like, I think the warrior in my raid top damage by a good bit, and he died more than anybody else. He had 15 deaths in SSC, and he was top damage by far. So he had floor POV. He had floor POV.
Yeah, like Fancy's saying in the chat, it's in speedrun scenarios, I could really see warriors being really strong just because the cleave damage, man. The cleave, as long as you can survive through it and just zug stuff down like that.
They do not bring more than warlocks in terms of AoE. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think warlocks are better on things. I've always said this, where it's like warriors are good on 2 to 5 or 2 to 6 targets. 6+ is like mage range, and then like 10 is where you get to like warlocks being good, right? So mages and warriors are doing incredibly well, right? It's true or false depending on how you play the pulls. Basically we're clumping everything in SSC. We're just clumping everything. We're like, I'm playing prop paladin. We're grouping everything, and then like the things that reduce your armor and mortal strike, we have the bear and the warrior taunt and face them away, but keep them close enough for seed and whirlwind. So that's all we do with those packs. So it's a lot of fucking damage. Here's the other thing too about trash packs is because warriors are good in the 2 to 6 range. Most trash all throughout TBC, because like I've played this in I've played all of TBC back in the day, and like Black Temple and Sunwell, this also holds true, where your trash packs are typically 2 to 6 mobs. Warriors like top those meters, because even if something is like 7 mobs or 8 mobs, 2 mobs will die early, and then you're in the 2 to 6 range. So like warlocks will be higher than them at the start, and then warriors will pass them as the pack goes on and thins out. And then when there's only 2 targets left, warriors have more damage. And every pack that has 7 mobs has to be 2 mobs at some points, and warriors end up like topping damage or coming up near the end of the pack, typically, or at least they get a spike in damage. But yeah, I'm finding that at C6 where warriors will truly shine. Yeah, I mean, it's literally the 2 phases away, and then you play T6 for 3 phases. Warlocks are still higher single target though. I actually don't know. Like, I actually don't know anymore. After I saw what was going on in SSC, it's interesting because a lot of the boss fights, like you just think about it for a second. The beginning of Leotheris is clump 3 mobs and milk damage as much as you can. So a warrior top meter for us on our Leotheris kill. On Lurker, we group all the ads and teleport them to the platform, and then the warrior jumps in and just AoEs them down. And he top damage on Lurker. And then on Fathom Lord, we group them all and the warrior top damage there. Morrogrim was, warlocks are going to be higher on that because that the Murloc packs are 10 plus mobs, and that's where seed is really good. And like a warrior is like, yeah, I can't really keep up with this damage because there's just too many mobs for them, right? Warrior inferior to his fury, yeah. The warrior inferior to his fury, yes. It was funny because he top damage and then he had to go, and we brought in a different fury warrior, and then he top damage too. And our warlocks and hunters are not slackers at all. So it's like, and we had an arcane mage too. He was doing really well on trash packs both times. I actually played with one arcane mage and then played with another, and they both did incredibly well on trash, like super well. But they need innervates on bosses. Also, apparently, people talk about like arcane mages having like a mono requirement. I believe Blade of Eternal Darkness still works really well on trash, and you basically never go on trash if you play it right. So that was interesting. I just think armor's lower. I think the fucking mob's armor's lower than even like mobs in Karazhan. Like, I don't know, but they seem to have really low fucking armor values. I'm hitting things really fucking
I'm not
hard.
sure, but I did see my DPS was a lot higher on PTR, and I'm almost in full BIS, so it shouldn't be that much of a difference when I was seeing the damage difference. But my rogue was doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, because one of the things that I thought would work against warriors is you don't warrior stack anymore. So on trash, things don't get fucking sundered, right? Like before in classic on speedruns, it was like first global sunder and everybody had like an assignment. So like literally you go into a ghoul pack and all like your 20 warriors, there's 5 stack sunders on all 4 ghouls immediately. So the whirlwind damage is like really good. And the cleave damage too. And that's how it used to be. So I was a little scared that like maybe there would be too much armor on mobs that you end up doing like like shit damage because nothing has any armor removed, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Things seem to have low enough armor values that it seems to not matter that much, and that also paves the way potentially for moving Prot Warrior out of your raid. I don't know if that'll happen though. I think they're still good, or I think they're still okay and good for progression, but it could pave the way for Druid or Paladin main tank. Especially Druid, because you don't need the sunders as much, right? So I don't know. Does that make armor pen an even better stat then? Yeah, because the lower values are important, and until you go over, as long as we can figure out what the armor value is of a mob, armor pen is really good up until that point. Because if you stack too much and go over, it's a wasted stat, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, the most fascinating thing I've seen with the melee thing is the casual guilds actually, or the less hardcores, because man, the pressure to not be a melee going forward has really risen because of just the perception of melees. In both my raids actually, I saw both my raids run 2 rogues ish right now, about 2 to 3 which is a lot more than a lot of raids.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot more.
Is that I don't know what the response is to hearing that your raid runs multiple rogues.
Yeah, so
are you okay?
One of the raid leads got.
I'm here if you need to talk. No.
Got wind of that one of the other rogue on my Felina raid has a mage, and he was like, "Okay, man, we're gonna get the mage into Karazhan. We're gonna get him attuned. Yeah, you're now mage main. Like as soon as the raid leader finds out that he is anything but a rogue or like another non-melee character, he's like, yeah, that's your main now. That's your main. That's you." And it even happens on my White Main guild because our raid lead is a rogue, and that's why we run 2 rogues right now. And the other people are like, it'd be a lot easier if you raid lead from your elemental shaman. It's a lot easier to raid lead on a range than a melee class here. And there's a lot of those sorts of comments to try to slowly push him towards playing an Ellie shaman instead of his rogue.
Oh, Hydross was another one too that I thought was interesting. Speaking to Ellie Shaman, you can't do any damage to Hydross with nature damage when he's green. So Sag Ellie Shaman. It does feel like it's kind of like how It's kind of like how Monotombs is, where everybody thinks the first boss is like really fucking hard until you get Shadow Res, and then he's a joke and does nothing. It's the same with the first boss of Alcatraz. If your tank has Shadow Res, it literally hits you for nothing. You don't need defense. He crits me for 2,000, right? And he hits me for like 1K. It's a joke. So when you get like even a decent amount of nature or frost res, it seems pretty good. Having the 2 tanks, one of each, seems right as well for threat purposes. You don't want to. It doesn't seem like you want to have one person tank Hydross and wear a mix set, because they're going to lose too much threat, and it's a threat drop and it's not tauntable. And what we did is we just when the ads were going to be when the ads were going to be green, we put down a frost trap, and then I like pop wings and trinket and shit, and then consecrate and gather the ads, and I kited them the whole time, and it had like kited them over the melee, so the melee were able to cleave them down with frost trap. And then when they were blue ads, they're immune to frost, so we just put down earthbind totems, and then I just continued to kite as paladin. So I actually wore no resistance as the ad tank. Right, I wore pure paladin threat for spell power, and just made sure that they were on me, and that our warrior could go fucking insane. So yeah, that was
Is your
Hydross
warrior
is
your
really-
raid lead?
Nope, he's not. In fact, we're adding more warriors. We're excited because we had 2 warriors. I'm excited. We had 2 warriors who were 2 of our top warriors, like top 4 in our raid. In actually, one of them was number 1. In our speedruns in Nax, and they left the guild because, one, they're European and wanted to like play with some EU guys and play more casually. They're coming back now because I was like, you don't fucking rank 1 and like sweaty parse in Nax and then want to go play casually on TBC forever. Like, the competitive side is going to come out. So yeah, they're coming back. So we're actually gaining a few of our like top warriors back now, which is really good for us, because I definitely think they're going to be a key to speedrunning.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was warrior talk. I'm sure Fight Club will have fun with that one.
Yeah.
But to just finish up for today, did you see the looking for group tool that they added, by the way? Or
I didn't see it, but I heard
add?
about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually like it. It's pretty much just what we kind of talked about, where it doesn't do the looking for group for you. It just kind of works similar to a bulletin board. Where you just pick what you want to find a group for, and then people can find out, okay, who's looking for groups for more a heroic or for a dungeon and such.
Nobody looking for mag.
Nobody looking for. But yeah, it seems.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice, right? It's just a convenience thing. It's not playing the game for you, but at least it's making it so I don't have to have looking for group that bulletin board installed all the time. Because as I saw on your stream as well, you found out that like, if you leave that on and you forget about it, it lags you out.
Lags you. Yeah, it lags you. It's weird. But LFG bulletin board is good, but it lags you sometimes, and it's just like, it's because it's constantly gathering data in the back and all that. Yeah. Menarch asked if the third tank had any resist. We had one. We tried things. We had one tank on Hydross have like maximum resistance that people recommend, which is like 240 unbuffed. So he was at like 310 buffed, and then our druid off tank was complaining that they didn't have the leather pieces or pieces he wanted, and they had like no void spheres. So he was like 200 resistance buffed, and he was fine too. And then I wore no resistance and tanked the ads and just ran in circles because prop heli. So yeah, that was but the ads hit hard in one of the attempts where like we were wiping. The ads hit hard. They hit me anywhere from 2.4k to 6k, and it goes through block and shit, right? Because it's nature and frost damage. So yeah, that was interesting.
All right. Anything else we need to cover for this week? I think we covered a lot.
Yeah. No. No, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. All right.
Yeah.
This has been episode 21 of Prepared. But take care, guys. See you guys next week.